What's up guys, Jordan from Bennett's Customs, and we are back on another episode. This one, a little bit different. I'm just too excited not to kind of get into it because you can see the shop is full of some really badass hot rods. This is basically what 2025 and the following years to come of Bennett's Customs are gonna be. We are gonna build some really badass hot rods. I wanna show you sort of the first and foremost ones that we are gonna be creating. So there's gonna be a bit of talking involved in this, but I wanna go through each car and sort of the ideas that we have with them and what we wanna be able to create to make some really neat customs and hot rods. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. All right, so first up on we can call it the chopping block. It's actually already been on the chopping block. This is a 1934 Ford two-door sedan. And as you can see, it has had a major haircut. And to be honest, kudos to Brian, who did this chop. Did an incredible job. The profile on it is like spot on. Sometimes I feel when you're doing a two-door sedan, whether it's a Model A or a Model 40, the profile can be pretty hard to nail. This whole chop, the profile of the windows, the leaned back windshield, the top of the cowl, like it's spot on. This is gonna be a really neat project. It does have a mint 34 frame. We have it rolling, but it was obviously just disassembled for shipping purposes. But this is gonna be a really cool one. It's gonna run a flathead, and it's just basically gonna be a really neat traditional hot rod. And it's actually gonna stay like this. This side, I've actually used that Galmet rust converter that you guys have seen me use multiple times. It's what I've used on my Roadster and plenty of other projects. The other side hasn't been done yet, so it's kind of neat to see the contrast. But it is overall like a real solid body. It does need some planishing and some finishing touches here and there. We do have to make an entire floor for it. But that's all, part of the fun. So there's going to be so much fab work involved in this, which is going to be really cool. And again, we just get to make a really neat traditional hot rod, which on top here, you can see we have a beautiful 718. And this is actually for my Roadster, and this will run the 18-inch super rare wide fives. That I was able to find in Australia, of all places, like gobsmacked that they existed there. If you guys know what they are, they're extremely hard to find. And if someone does have them, trying to get them to sell them, impossible. So very fortunate enough to find a set, and I cannot wait to put these things on there. They're really going to fill that wheel well, and some on the Roadster. So that's going to be really cool. So that one's going to be a future project that we'll do basically an entire build series on. We'll kind of think of a clever name just so that, it's definitely recognizable in the titles. So that one will be really cool. Coming over into here, this is a 28-29 Roadster, exact same as the one that I'm building. And this is actually gonna follow basically the exact same guidelines as mine. We do have a really nice original 32 frame that this will sit on. We got a great little hopped up flathead that's going to be going in there that will, kind of transfer into the back, running a 40 rear end. Just again, another really nice traditional hot rod. We're going to drop an axle for it. There's definitely lots of sheet metal work still to do to this. I always just really have a soft spot for a 28-29 Roadster, especially on a 32 frame. So it's kind of exciting to sort of, be able to have similar cars in here, similar shapes, which is nice because I kind of know a lot of the measurements off it now. So this one will really kind of come together pretty cool. Over here, behind all this stuff, I'll just roll these guys out of the way and show you. This was from a good man of mine, Greg, who is building a beautiful coupe at the moment, and I think he sort of had plans and aspirations of building this really badass chopped two-door as well. But fortunately, we're able to get it for a good mate of mine and cannot wait to sort of create this one too. This is a 31 Model A two-door sedan, if you call it that. It's got a heavy chop, probably 6+ inches. I almost want to say, yeah, at least 6, maybe just slightly more. It does not have the frame in it right now, but it is in the car. And when that little windshield frame is sitting in there and the visor's on, it's crazy how small that little windshield is. It's really, really cool. So again, this one's going to be a heavily channeled two-door sedan as well. Not really sure on the motor choice yet. Maybe a 390 Cadillac or a 331 Cadillac. And then again, it's going to be heavily channeled and then just, supporting some 40 Ford wheels on the back. Probably some 750s, very similar to these white walls here. So if you can imagine, something like that, obviously slightly higher. But yeah, again, trying to make kind of a, still trying to keep it a traditional hot rod, but adding a few aesthetics at the style that he would like to go with. Again, these are going to go on a real special project. Haven't really announced that one yet, but we'll keep that one under wraps. Got a wicked little luggage rack in there that I'm going to use. Actually, I'll just pull it out and show you. Ow! This thing is so sweet. And once I give it the old Galmet treatment, with the rust converter, I think it's gonna make it look really nice. And then I'll just give these just like a little bit of a cleanup. But this is a luggage rack. Unsure exactly what it's off of. It could be Ford. It could be Chevy. I don't actually know. I'm not crazy familiar with the luggage racks. So if you guys notice exactly what it is, let us know in the comments. But this is going to be kind of a cool little piece, because if we walk over to my Roadster, the back does run a spreader bar. There's a little nice bar that goes in there. You guys have, I've explained this a couple times, but if you are new to the channel, this is again a 29 Roadster on 32 frame. This was kind of bobbed about 6 inches. Usually they are actually clipped because they do have a kick up, and then they sort of end just after where your spring would mount to, or your coilovers, or however you're setting it up. But I really do like the look of them kind of poking out the back. I've seen quite a few of them modified with running the 32 tank out there, and it still looks cool, but I kind of wanted to just keep it simple. So the neat thing is now I have sort of a bit of an attachment to be able to create something where, essentially we could have kind of a rack sit on the back and be able to fold up as well. So that's kind of the goal, is to have it sort of fold up where obviously the dicky seat can still come down, and we'll have room like that when we're not using it. I won't always drive around on with the luggage rack. It might look a bit goofy, but the idea is that, because we're running a dicky seat or a rumble seat in the back, obviously being a Roadster, there's not a lot of compartment space to put stuff or luggage or whatever. So Ben and I are planning on doing a little trip from West Coast to East Coast, driving our hot rods. Take me up on it. We are doing it. We've talked about it for many years. There's a race called Rattle Trap over east, and it's in Crowdy Heads. And we want to drive from, we're literally 200 meters away from the beach here. We want to drive from West Coast all the way across to the East Coast, driving straight down onto the beach. We couldn't go any farther, and then we get to race all day with a bunch of really cool guys. So it's kind of been a bit of a pipe dream for us, but I think it's something that could become a reality, which would be really exciting. And potentially next year, once we have both cars going and we've run all the teething issues out of them. But this is where that sort of thought process came involved, is, hey, now we have somewhere where we can mount some stuff. We also have 2 little 50 dirt bikes. They're so much fun, especially when you're camping. So they're gonna have to go somewhere. So imagine towing this guy or driving this guy across with 2 50s on the back with a swag on top. It's gonna be fully loaded. Yeah. That's a whole nother video, whole nother series, but that's gonna be a very exciting trip. I cannot wait to actually do it. I've never driven across Australia. So to say we've done it in a 1929 Roadster and another 1929 Roadster, that's just, yeah, way too cool. All right, so another one too that's you know, gonna be, no, I don't think we're gonna be doing a whole lot of stuff on this, but we will definitely be doing a little bit, you know, just with alterations on ride height and, you know, dropped axle and certain bits and pieces. And this is a 28-29 leatherback, is kind of the name, or I guess that you'd call them. They run sort of a soft top, and the actual upholstery wraps right around this quarter and comes straight down to here. They're really neat. So it's essentially still a coupe, but it doesn't have necessarily the exact rear window and the solid sides that a coupe would have. So on the back, you know, they just sort of nail it into the framework, the wood framework, and then the upholstery would have gone right over the top and then come up and gone over top of the bows as well. And they're actually really cool. There's quite a few guys, one in particular, he's on the Ham. He actually did a build on one, built a beautiful traditional hot rod, and he had it like, I think it was like a 5-inch chop on it, and he actually had it reupholstered and redone. And I don't know, something about it, I was really, really into it. So kind of hoping that's gonna be the same direction with this. And if you can see this big ugly green thing that's wedged inside of here, that is the largest oxygen reserve bottle I have ever seen. Don't ask me how I got it. It was a bit of a weird one, but came from a really nice gentleman who I got some aircraft seat belts from and a couple other pieces. And you know, how can you say no? But I want you to see the sheer size of it. And for anyone that is out there that is, you know, a little bit more switched on with aircraft stuff or knows a lot about it, please tell me where this came from. I've tried so hard to try and look up large oxygen reserve bottles, you know, not very, you know, your standard size ones that you've seen me create when I, you know, cut those 2 in half and made that really neat fuel tank for a good mate of mine's 32 3-window. But this thing is ginormous, and, you know, wasn't really sure what I was gonna do with it, nor am I even sure what we're gonna do with it. It will probably just hang from the roof for a little while until I get that 2 a.m. light bulb, and I'll put it in the little brain dump book next to the bedside table. But definitely a cool piece. Obviously, if this thing could talk, it would probably have some pretty crazy stories. But, you know, if anyone knows what it's out of, please let us know, email us, or let us know in the comments. It would be pretty cool to be able to connect the dot, because I'm assuming if it was from an airplane, it would be from a big one. If you kind of absorbed that little leatherback kind of explanation, then you'll notice that this is the exact same thing. Exact same as that, same year. Again, this is unchopped, so you can kind of see the window size versus that one that's got about a 4-inch chop on it, which is really cool. So this will get a haircut, and I want to do this chop for sort of a live audience. So if you guys have been kind of following along and kind of keeping updated with the channel and our page, we do have the online metal shaping course in the pipeline. For a lot more information, just make sure you click that link below, put your email down. I've mentioned it a couple times that it is going to be limited spots only, so we will cap it. So if you guys do want to jump in, and it's going to be just really in-depth setting up your welders to setting up your sheet metal to fitment to welding to planishing, all the bits sort of in between. And the cool thing is we're going to try and we will apply all those bits and pieces to actually chopping this and you know, giving it a little haircut that it deserves. So this is going to be a really cool one, and it's going to be neat to sort of do it live. So it's going to be really cool. Coming back over to this one happens to be my favorite, and this one's really, really special. The guy that we get to build it for is a really, really, really cool guy. And it's kind of his first hot rod. So to have a 1932 two-door sedan as your first hot rod is out of control. But the best part is that he and I get to sort of build it, and you know, we both kind of are on the same page with how we want to create this car. It came from a really neat guy, Murray, who had basically purchased it nearly from brand new. So it was his gentleman who, big farmland, he actually owned it and bought it, and so technically it's like a second owner car, which is wild, especially for a 1932. So this one, it looks pretty rough, but it's actually not. The cool thing is that it's complete. It's got the fenders, it's got the original grille, the hood sides, the original B motor that's in it, the dash is in there, all the wood, like it's complete. And I'm really, really excited about this one. This is gonna run a really neat little flathead that's inside. I'll show you in a second. That was from another friend, so that's gonna go in here. It's gonna run a T5 transmission behind it, which, you know, to some people is a bit sacrilegious, but to others, we wanna make sure that, you know, you can jump in this thing and drive it around. So having that 5-speed is gonna be key for that. He does have family, he's got 2 girls, so he wants to be able to throw them in the back and be able to, you know, enjoy a little Sunday cruise with the whole family. So that little 5-speed from an S10 is definitely gonna be a bonus for it. It is gonna be channeled because there is no floor. It was kind of, you know, it's obviously was really rusted out. So it's gonna be fenderless, it's gonna be channeled. We're unsure on a chop, but if it does get a chop, it's going to get a pretty heavy chop. But I am partial. I do like an East Coast style where they just heavy channel and no chop. I think it could look really cool. I also have seen a lot of really neat photos, one in particular where it was channeled, not chopped, and then these were brought up. So it was kind of like almost sectioned. And that looks really cool too. So, you know, a few different ideas. We haven't got anything in concrete yet, but overall, just this car and like this grill, that you just, I don't know, it's crazy to just see, you know, an original 32 grill with everything in there, and just the insert, like none of these are even bent. There's like 2 little ones here that have just been kissed. So it's actually, I don't know, I just think it's so cool that something, you know, especially in 1932, can be so well preserved. It's been sitting for a very, very long time. And, you know, I cannot wait to breathe some, you know, some real neat creativity into this and actually have this one on the road as well as the others. But this one in particular kind of, you know, really, really holds it close. So it's going to be a very fun one. And you may even see like, there's some really quirky things, and I might even actually save them for this build series, because there's some really neat things that the old gentleman who had originally owned this had created, which was really, really cool. There's a couple neat messages that we can go all in depth with it, but overall, we got some solid projects. You know, like basically we got quite a few years of work ahead of us, but this is sort of the dream that we wanted for Bennett's Customs, was to be building some really cool hot rods. And this isn't actually all of them. There's one over there too. If you just zoom in, you'll see one. There's a 36 Plymouth right over there. You know, I kind of say everything's getting a chop, but that one actually is going to get a chop. Even though they already look like they've had a chop, Plymouth and Dodges were kind of cool that way. But that one is going to get a chop. It is a 3-window. We got 2 different front ends for it. It's for a mate of ours as well. So, you know, there's going to be some really cool cars driving around, which is exciting because there's not a lot of really neat hot rods around here. There is, but they're sort of few and far between. But you know, we got a lot of stuff. So first and foremost, what we do need to do is make a little bit of room, and particularly for the fast cut CNC table that will be arriving tomorrow because I did not want to put that on the trailer with everything else. I just wanted it to make sure it was perfect and flat and stable. But that thing's gonna be first and foremost priority, getting that set up in the corner of the workshop, which I cannot wait to, start learning a lot more about it and being able to cut out some really cool things. The creativity level is definitely gonna be blowing up over in that corner, so I cannot wait. You may see Ben's car in the background. We are working on the Roadster at the moment. We are going to try and get it up to its first fire up. We need to break the cam in. So that's gonna be in a very near future video. I think you guys can kind of see, like, obviously it's just been chaos around here this week, especially trying to get everything down and loaded into the workshop, and all the ideas are sort of there. So, I can see the chopped 34 finished. I can see the 32 finished. I can see the Roadster done. So it's gonna be really neat to kind of take all those visions that I have up there and apply them to actually creating something and getting these cars back on the roads. But Hemi Coupe as well, it's kind of tucked over in the corner. If you guys have been following along with that, you may have watched the wheel well video. It went really well. The momentum that we have in this is great. So I want to keep that and carry it right through to get all the metalwork done before it can go to paint and body. So there is going to still be an extensive amount that we have to do inside the floor, the tunnel, the top of the roof. We're going to make kind of a cool little setup that's still going to allow us to run the factory bow, the wood bow kit that's going to go in there. But we're just going to kind of do a really neat reveal, very similar to the factory one, but just, some subtle changes. So a lot of the stuff on this car is trying to not be too extreme, kind of less is more, I guess, but also just altering those body lines to, kind of almost play with your eye a little bit. So I've mentioned it several times, probably say it a lot, but, just trying to complement what was already there and potentially, maybe get the little head nod from Henry Ford himself if he were to see this thing once it's finished, and he'd kind of go, yeah, those styling points were bang on. So, and a little taste of what is actually here for it. We do have the really cool airflow steering wheel. So whether or not it stays black or we do end up painting it a bit of an off-white color to match the sort of interior ideas that we have with it. You can see we got a lot of cars to cover. So, I could talk all day, but I really just want to get stuck into doing some fab work. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to jump over, start doing some work so you guys can see what we're creating. And again, kind of a short video. We're just trying to get everything set up in here, but I mentioned it before. Please, if you do want to check out that sheet metal course, make sure you just click the link below, jump over. There's a brief description on it. It kind of goes into a bit of detail there. And if it is something that does perk your interest, please make sure you put your email down on that, and so we can notify you when we have a release date. And you will become sort of one of a certain amount of people that will be capped. Oh yeah, and you can't see the combi is not in here at the moment. We actually moved it over to the client's beautiful workshop. We had a little kind of car show meet thing there over the weekend, so we wanted to kind of do a little mild debut. And it got amazing feedback, which was kind of cool. I wasn't really expecting it. I also just feel like it's been a grind on that car, and a lot of stuff, not really hot rod related. I've a lot of learning that I've had to do with like the kind of computer programs, and luckily Matt and I, who had done all the wiring, him and I have really kind of, sort of got our heads around it, more or less him. I kind of just stand behind his shoulder and watch. Fire extinguisher is right behind you if anyone panics and sees anything.
I'm not convinced that, I'm just trying to think.
Sounds like it's gonna take off. Yeah. But we had done an initial fire up, and of course there was gonna be some teething issues. Biggest thing I took from it was the fuel system didn't leak, the cooling system didn't leak, the oil system didn't leak, and all the plumbing that was in there, nothing leaked. We just had a few fuel pressure regulator issues. It wasn't creating enough fuel pressure, and a little thing with the transmission. So very minor for kind of what it is. I think, you know, when you're creating something that build at that caliber, and, you know, with the amount of custom applications that's been done to it, I was really sort of open-minded, knowing, okay, if this thing does fire up, great. If not, like, you know, go, okay, we kind of expected this to happen. So it was a bonus that we didn't have any leaks. It was a bonus that it turned over. No, we haven't heard it yet, so you guys will hear it with us for the first time. But that will be coming back over next week, and we will still be trying to get lots done on that, because we do want to wrap that car up. It's, again, I've mentioned it, it's very close. It's sort of like 95.5% done, and that last 4.5% is always the longest that it takes. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm sure I put everyone to sleep. For all the ladies out there that watch us, your partners are probably snoring on the couch, so you'll have to wake them up now the video's over. But yeah, always enjoy doing this stuff. Again, thank you very much for all the support. Just even lately through all the videos, the amount of like comments that we've been getting, and positive comments, which has been great. Anyways, and again, please jump over to the store, check out our merchandise. Don't buy, I can sell you a shirt that has pre-worn holes in it, but we do have nicer t-shirts on the website. So jump over there. And again, every shirt, every sticker that is purchased off there, it just immensely helps the workshop. And, you know, keeping this roof over our heads and over the heads of all these beautiful hot rods that are now not sitting out in the weeds or in the fields, you know, getting rained on and just continually rusting. We're ready. We're all under the big roof. That was the idea of the whole expansion, is to fill all these things in here and walk around them. So see you later. Bye now.